Go.
Good evening, my friends. We're here at the courtyard at the Parador Hotel here in Santiago de Compostela. We're bringing you each of our pilgrims and kind of our takeaways from the Camino. So we've got Ed Burjek, my buddy here, and so Ed, what are some of the big takeaways for
Well,
you?
I just go back, Father, to the very beginning when you first asked if I would ever. Father had known that I had done the Camino 5 days with my wife Gloria back in 2015, and he had been asking me for a couple of years, would you ever think about doing it again? And I said, you know what, I would definitely like to do it again. And so then one day Father had said, you know what, I'm taking a sabbatical and I'd like to do the Camino. And I said, well, how much of it? He said, the whole thing. I'm like, whoa, the whole thing, that's like 500 miles. And so it kind of gave me an opportunity to kind of really get kind of psyched up for it. And it was a long wait. And so we've been planning it for months and months, and then it finally came to fruition when we made the deposit back in like December, and we booked our flights, and we were able to get Mark and Rick and Joe to join us at that time. And and then all the planning finally ended up resulting in taking that flight out on April 12th, and then I remember like it was yesterday, Holy Thursday morning, taking that first step out of that little hotel in St. John P. Port and thinking, wow, we're starting our first step of 1,200,000, 1,300,000 steps, and just thinking, this is going to be an unbelievable journey.
And the first step was straight uphill.
And the first step was straight uphill. And so that went on for. We were first 10 days, everything was going fine, and then I had a little bit of a hiccup, and I hurt my leg, and I got an infection, and these guys prayed me through this whole thing, and I was able to turn around and start walking again the very next day. So as we were walking along, and we had been talking about sort of the three parts of the Camino, you know, the physical part, the mental part, and then the spiritual part. And it was kind of like, at first I thought, well, maybe the physical happens the first third of the trip, and then it goes into the mental part, and then the spiritual part. When I came to the realization, I think we all did, was that it was that spirituality that really helped us get through that physical part of the Camino, as well as the mental part of the Camino. Because by doing those spiritual exercises every day, you know, praying the rosary, praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet, doing daily Mass, you know, doing the morning prayers, which was something that I think was the first time that any of us experienced, besides yourself, doing those morning prayers. I think that was instrumental in getting us through this entire trip. Without, you know, we have 5 guys plus 2 that join us with 14 days to go, all in our 60s with the exception of Father Burke, who's clearly in the best shape of all of us. But the fact that 5 or 6 other guys were able to get through that entire trip without a little bit, you know, sore feet, you know, some blisters and infections, but besides that, really, we just really fought through it, and it was incredible. And so that was one takeaway, and then the other one was just meeting people along the way. We started keeping a list of how many pilgrims we actually met. We were actually present in the moment, speaking with them. Like Joe had, you know, we had talked about Joe, like just going off and 100 meters ahead and just getting immediately into a conversation with whoever. But over the course of these 34 days, we had met and encountered and actually had a personal relationship with over 80 people, which was really amazing to think about. I mean, over 34 days to be able to do.
And a lot of them we've seen here in Santiago.
Here in Santiago, yeah, as we were finishing.
Yeah. So, having done 5 days and now 34 days, what would you say about somebody maybe thinking about doing one or the other?
You know what? The Camino's the Camino. I think if you start in Sarria, where we started the first time, or if you start in St. John, or if you start in Leon, where Tom and Mike joined us, everybody knows. I really encourage anybody who's out there who's even thinking about it. You know what? If you're concerned about, don't worry about taking the 500. Start with the 5 days, and then see if you want to come back. That's what we did. And I was definitely apprehensive at first about it. I was a little bit nervous. I mean, is health going to be okay? But I'll tell you, I wouldn't trade it in for anything after having experienced that. Yeah,
And having, as you said, 6 guys over 60,
incredible.
me 55, and really, we all feel really good today.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing your
welcome.
experience, and hopefully it inspires all of you to either come here to Santiago or for each of us to start our own Camino where we're at, one day at a time, and as we learned, un paso a la vez, one step at a time. To you and all of your family, buen camino.